Hello everyone, welcome to Kriti Tutorials. So today we are back again with the analysis of section A part 2 for applied maths class 12th sample paper which has been released by CBSE for the year 2023-24. This will help you in preparation. So we already did first 6 questions. Now we are coming up with the next set of questions. So now today we'll be starting with the next. So as we have already discussed all this, so we will be coming on to the next question, that is seventh question. So this question is again based on first unit, that is numerical applications, and is based on congruence modulo again. So here you can see that we have to find the least non-negative remainder when 3 raised to 50 is divided by 7. So we have to look for in these questions for the least remainder, and that should also be the non-negative remainder. So first thing that we have to do is we have to find B, and if I write it in the format, though it is not needed because it's an MCQ, but to explain you in a better way, we should use this concept, right? So in exam, you can do it directly because it is an MCQ. So now what we have to do is we have to look for the least power of the 3 so that we can get least multiple. Mostly we use for 1 or minus 1 remainder. Remember, we look for 1 or minus 1 remainder to solve these questions. Now 3 raised to 3 is 27. Now if we divide 27 by 7, because mod 7 is given here, right? So what we will have, if we divide this, we will have the remainder as 6. And as we all know, 6 is equivalent to what? Minus 1. So now we are getting the remainder minus 1 for the power 3 cube. So now here we can write it as 3 cube congruence modulo for the 7 is coming out to be what? Minus 1. Now we just have to use the property that a raised to k, correct? Congruence modulo will give you b raised to k mod n, right? So this property is important in these type of questions where we have the power. So we have to simply extend it to the power nearest to 50, right? So if we make it 16 times, we make it 48. So 3 raised to 48 and minus 1 raised to 16, because it is even, it will make it 1. So we have reached to this. Now what is left out? 2 more powers of 3. So we can directly multiply by 9 both the sides. That's again a property that we can multiply and it will remain in the same. So what will you get? 3 raised to 50 congruence modulo 7 will give you remainder 9. Now 9 is again greater than 7. So we need a least non-negative remainder. Remainder cannot be greater than 7. So what is the remainder if we divide 9? So the remainder will be 2. So what's your final answer? Your final answer will come out to be 2, right? So here the options are not there. So we have to make it that one option that has to be there is 2, right? So this was from the board, right? So there was some printing error in the sample paper, but the correct answer is 2. Don't worry about that. If you get anything like that in the board exam, then what you have to do is you have to go with your answer. And what you will do, you will just mark randomly any answer and benefit of doubt will be given to you. So there was a small misprinting that the option should be 2, not 4, 3, 30, or 1. So be stick to your concepts. Your clarity of concepts is very much needed. Clear to all? Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Now this question is based on financial maths. As you all can see, if the cash equivalent of a perpetuity of rupees 300 payable at the end of each quarter is rupees 24,000, then rate of interest converted quarterly is. So we have to find the rate of interest, that is we have to find R. Now the options given to you are 5%, 4%, 3%, and 2%. Now what we have here, we have to use the formula of perpetuity. So what is the formula of perpetuity? P is equal to R upon I. And what is I? I is rate of interest upon 400. Now why we have taken 400 here? Because it's quarterly. Whenever it is quarterly, we say R upon 400. Otherwise, it is always R upon 100 for annual, R upon 200 for semi-annual. And for quarterly, I is R upon 400. Now what is given to you? You have been given that perpetuity of rupees 300 payable at the end of each quarter is rupees 24,000. So what is your P? Your P, the total amount that you are getting is 24,000, right? And then what are you getting? You are getting 300 rupees deposited, and I is R upon 400. So this 400 will go in the numerator. So you have to calculate R. So if you have to calculate R, what you have to do is you have to simply calculate 300 into 400 upon 24,000. Right? So what will you get? Three zeros cancel out, and you get 120 upon 24, which is 5%. Right? Clear to all? So what is the correct option? A option is correct. Correct? So this is a simple question which is based on perpetuity, that is financial mass unit. And we have to simply remember the formula and substitute the value. So right, so this is on perpetuity. Now let's move to the next question. Now this is the question which is based on integration, and we have to solve it by the method of substitution simply. So now whenever we have the question of integration by substitution, we have to look for one important thing. We can substitute the function as t if its derivative is present. So now if I say log x is t, right? Let's put log x as t. Now, what is the derivative of log x? Derivative of log x is 1 upon x. And that is why we can substitute it, which is already there in the function. Because we can write the function as the product of two functions, 1 upon x and log x. So along with the function, we have its derivative also in multiplication. So if we find the derivative, 1 upon x dx will be equal to dt. Right? Now we are going to convert the entire given function into t. So now 1 upon x dx is dt and log x is t. Now everyone can integrate it with the help of a simple rule. So what we will get, t square by 2 and plus c. Now final answer has to be given by resubstituting it in terms of x. So what do we get? We get option B as the answer if we put in place of t simply log x raised to 2 upon 2. Right? Clear to all? Let's check once again. Yes. Sure. Shall we move to the next? Now, let's come to the next one. Now, this is a simple question which is based on time series. Right? Now, as it is based on time series, we have to simply look for the definition. So, it's a simple concept which is based on remembering. Correct? You have to simply remember the definition, nothing else. So now what we have to do here, we have to simply read and go with the definition. Now, supply of finished good was delayed for a month due to the landslide in hilly terrain, under which trend oscillation does this situation fall. So this is not going to happen every time, right? And it's not like that it's going to happen in every season or something. So now seasonal means summer, winter, spring, it's going to change, but it is not like that. Landslide can happen anytime. It is not cyclical also. After some duration, it's going to happen every time. Neither it is secular, so it is irregular. It happens once, right? And we don't know when it is going to happen. So option D is correct. That is simply irregular, right? So you have to simply go with the definition. So it will hardly take few seconds and simply mark D option. No calculation, nothing. Now, if you go with the next, that is again based on financial maths, right? So here we have a question which is based on depreciation. Now, a machine costing rupees 30,000 is expected to have a useful life of 4 years and a final scrap value of rupees 4,000. The annual depreciation is. So we have to find depreciation, and depreciation, the simple formula is the cost, the machine cost, that is the present cost, and the scrap value. We have to subtract it, and the time, correct? The number of years that you have. So now what is the machine costing price? 30,000. What is the scrap value? 4,000. And the time is given to you 4 years. So it's a simple calculation based on formula, right? So now if you simply subtract, you get 26,000, and if you divide 26,000 by 4, what will you get? 6,500. So that is option B. So your correct answer is option B. right? So that is the depreciation, right? Now let's move to the next question. Now we have to find again effective rate of interest equivalent to the nominal rate 6% compounded semi-annually. Now again it's a question based on financial maths. Now financial maths, that is effective rate and nominal rate, right? So what is the formula for effective rate and nominal rate? So effective rate is always equal to 1 plus r upon m raised to n minus 1 into 100. Now, what is this R? R is again going to be the rate of interest. M is the time basically. Now, here the important part given to you is the value. Now, the effective rate of equivalent interest. Now, here the important part is nominal rate of interest is 6%. Now, I just told you that if it is half yearly, we have to take it by 2. So what will you take here? 1 plus, now rate of interest will be 3, right? That is simple thing that you have to do. So directly you can put 3, or what you can do, you can put it 6 upon 2 also, right? That will make it 3. Correct? Now raise to, right? Let's make it more clear. So now again 2 minus 1. Just check into 100. So that will give you effective rate of interest. Now what will you do? 1 plus. Now rate of interest has to be put in percentage. So we can make it by 100 as well. So what will I get? 3 by 100, which will give me, now again I change the brackets. Now, correct? Now 1.03 raised to 2. So what will you get? Now this has to be done manually. So now because no value is given to you, so what will you get? 1.0609 minus 1. And then you have to multiply it by 100, right? So 13 ka square you all know 169, but we have 103. So we just have to put the zeros in places and decimal accordingly. So what will you get? 0.0609 into 100, which comes out to be 6.09%, right? So what is your option? C option is correct. So effective rate and nominal rate of interest, right? So this is a question based on simple formula, and you have to do the calculation. It will take time, so you have to be very clear with the calculations. Now let's move to the next. Now this is again based on financial maths. So you all can see we are getting a lot of questions from financial maths. So prepare it well. So it's all formula based. You have to be clear with values substitution. Now for the next one, the topic is CAGR, that is compound annual growth rate, which is of course used in compound interest, right? So it's a simple formula again which is going to be used. Now CAGR is to be calculated as EV upon SV. Now who will tell me what is EV upon SV? Yes, that is your final amount and the principal basically. Correct? The compound interest formula that you have. So it is simply based on that. Now you have to be very much clear with the formula as I said. So 32,000 is given to you as your EV and 20,000 is given as your SV. So now if the investment of rupees 20,000, you can also compare it with your principal, right? That is your SV. Now the mutual fund in 2015 increased into rupees 32,000. So that's your final amount, correct? So if you compare it with the formula of compound interest also, then also we can do this. Now, CAGR for 5 years. So your end will be what? 5, correct? Now here the point is, we have to simply substitute that 32,000. And what is your SV? Your SV is 20,000. And what is your time? Your time is 5 years. So 1 upon 5 minus 1 into 100. Now here one value is given to you. 1.6 raised to 1 by 5. Correct? So now 1.098. Correct? Clear to all? So now we have to simply substitute this value. So if you calculate this, 32 divided by 20 will be 1.6 only. So you don't have to worry how are we going to calculate, do we need to use log? No, values will be given to you in exam. So now 1.6 raised to 1 by 5 is simply given to you. Just put that value and get your answer, right? So it's a simple question again which is based on formula and calculations are to be done just by putting it. So the correct answer is 9.8%, right? So that is option B, right? So it's the concept of CAGR. Clear to all? Now, the next is based on integrating factor. This is the question from the unit calculus, and the topic that has been covered from the calculus is differential equations, right? I repeat, differential equations. Clear to all? So now we have here integrating factor and the differential equations. Now, so what we have, integrating factor. For finding the integrating factor, first we need to bring it to the standard form. Now, what is standard form for the integrating factor? Now, for the integrating factor, we need to get it to this form, dy by dx plus py is equal to q. Now, here we have to check that the coefficient of dy by dx is 1, right? That, but in the given equation it is not 1, so we have to first divide it. Correct? Now first dividing it, we have to make sure that we are going to check for p and q after that. Now for dividing, what we will do, dy by dx x upon x plus 2y upon x is equal to x cube upon x. Now simply reduce it to this form, dy by dx plus 2 upon x into y is equal to x square. Now what is p? P is 2 upon x. Clear? P is 2 upon x. Now how we will move on with this? Now we have the formula, direct formula for finding the integrating factor. Now what is the formula for integrating factor? The formula for integrating factor is e raised to integral of p dx. Now, exponential integral of 2 upon x dx. Now, 2 is constant, we can take it out. So, 1 upon x. What is the integration of 1 upon x? Integration of 1 upon x is log x. Now, there is a small property that we have to use here. Now, property of log. What is the property of log? The property of log says that log a raised to b is b log a. b log a. So this we are going to use. So this becomes what? Exponential log of x square. Now log of x square. Again we have to use a relation of exponential function and log function here, which will give you the answer in the simplified form. So what will we get? We get x square. Why? Because exponential log x is always x. And in place of x, we have x square. So the final answer is x square. That is option C, right? So just go with it. That integrating factor is this formula. But before that, we have to get the equation to the standard form, which is dy by dx plus py is equal to q. So this is the question based on calculus, and it is based on linear differential equation, right? Now let's come to the next. Now this is the question of LPP, and it's a graph based question, and it's a simple question which you can check. Now not much calculation needed, though it seems to be equation is not given to you, how will you find? I'll give you a very simple trick here. Besides non-negativity constraints, the figure given below is subject to which of the following constraints? Now the graph is given to you. So now the four options are given to you. Now first tell me one thing. Less than and greater than inequality matters here, right? So now if we take a very simple concept for the first line that we have, suppose I take DC as the first line, right? So this is my DC. Now as we see, it's the lower region of DC, that is less than. Clear? So now
we have to check less than region for DC, and if I take AB for AE also, we have the less than region. So first we will check that if both the inequalities are less than, then that could be an option. Just check that, because we see that the equations are same in all the four options. That's why it's an easy question. If equations would have been different, then we will have to find the equation first and then we can move on with this. But here this question is direct because all the four options have the same equation of line, same inequalities. Inequalities less than and greater than is different, that's it. But if we see the figure, we can just check if both are less than, that could be our option. So if we check both are less than only in the first option A, so that will be our answer. Because if it is greater than, it will be the area above the line, but here both the lines are getting the area below them, so it will be simply less than. No need to find the equation and use your time, save your time. Okay, so we have to simply mark option A. Now let's come to the next. Now this is based on probability and it is based on Poisson distribution, right? Till now we have got only one question on probability unit, which was based on binomial distribution. Now this is based on Poisson distribution, right? So if this is based on Poisson distribution, what we can do? We can simply use the formula of Poisson distribution. Now what is the question? If x is a Poisson variate such that 3 times p of x is equal to 2 is equal to 2 times p of x is equal to 1, then you have to find the mean. Now mean is equal to what here? Can anyone tell me if you know the formula? Yes, lambda, or we can use any other initial. So now what's the formula? The basic formula for the Poisson distribution. E raised to lambda, yes, minus lambda, lambda square upon factorial r. Correct. What is it? I repeat again. E raised to minus lambda, lambda square upon factorial r. This is the formula for probability distribution, that is for finding x is equal to r for Poisson distribution. Now the equation given to you, the condition given to you is this. So we have to calculate for this part, right? Now how will you calculate it? Yes, anyone? We have to simply substitute it. Correct? Now how will you substitute it? Simply go with the values. E raised to minus lambda, lambda square upon factorial 2. Here let's make it general formula first. Right. Correct. Now what will you get? Here 1. So simply we have to take r as 1. Now e raised to minus lambda clears out. So no need to worry that this value is not given to you. Correct. Now what can we do? Just simply solve it. 1 lambda will also cancel out. So what will you get? 3 lambda upon 2 is equal to 2. So what's the value of lambda? 4 by 3. Do we have the option? Yes. So it's a very simple calculation. No need to worry about e raised to minus lambda. I repeat again. What is the formula? Px is equal to r, e raised to minus lambda, lambda raised to r upon factorial r. So r is the random distribution number that you are finding it out. Correct? So now here we have to find out R. So R is given to you in the question already. What is R given to you in the question? 2 and 1. So lambda is supposed to be found. Correct? So we have to simply substitute and simplify it. Clear? Now let's move to the next. For the given values, find 3-year moving average. So this is the question which is based on time series simply. So 3-year moving average ke liye what we have to do? We have to take 3 values at a time and divide it by 3. So if we take 3 values at a time, we'll make the groups of 3. So first is 35, 70 and 36 and we have to divide it by 3. Next is 70, 36 and 59 and then we have to divide it by 3 and the next is 36, 59 and 64 and divided by 3. So this is what we have to do. 3-year moving average. So simply we have to take 3 years, then we have to divide it by 3. Now if we go with this, we get the answer as for the first one, the division will give you 47 and the other one, the division will give you what? 55 and for the next it will give you 53. So it's a simple concept which is based on remembering the concept of moving averages. So we have to take three values at a time and divide it by 3. So which option is it? C option, right? So that is what we have here. Now the next is data point of a normal variate with mean 12 and standard deviation 4 and z score 5. Now this is a question which is based on inferential statistic. Which is based on probability. Now probability, which question we have here is based on normal distribution, right? Normal distribution related questions we have in statistics also. So there also we have this formula, and in probability also we have this formula. So now what can be the answer to this? Now we have to use the simple formula of Z score, right? I repeat, we have to use the simple formula of Z score. Now what is the formula of Z score? X minus mu upon S, right? And what is missing here? X is missing here. See here, mean is given, mean is mu, standard deviation is S, and Z is 5. So if you calculate it, what will you get? Right? Just check everyone. So what will you get? 20 is x minus 12. So your x turns out to be 32. Right? So that is option D. So it's a simple few second question. Now the next last two questions are assertion reasons. You have been solving these questions. Now these two questions are given here. So here first A, B, C, D, four options are correct, right? Out of these four, you have to select any one for both of them. Correct? Now, you all know what A option is. Both are true, A and R is the correct explanation of A. B is both are true, but R is not the correct explanation. A is true, but R is false, and A is false, but R is true. Let's check out first question. Now, this is based on calculus again, and it is based on differentiation application. That is maxima and minima, right? So, R, if you see first, because it's condition based, just apply the definition. Profit is maximum at x is equal to a if p dash a is 0. Okay, that is correct. We can get the critical point. But tell me, what is the condition of maxima? P double dash a is greater than 0. This is wrong. What is the condition of maxima? P double dash a should be less than 0, right? So reason is wrong for sure, but we have to check for assertion also. So is assertion correct or not? For that we will have to solve it. Now this is your p given, so we have to find p dash x. So what will you get? 24 minus 16x, and from here you get the value of x as 3 by 2. Now we have to check whether your p double dash, what will be your p double dash x? P double dash x will be minus 16, which is less than 0. So this is a point of maxima. At this point, we have to find the profit, which should be the maximum value. So if I put it in the function 41 plus 24 into 3 by 2 minus 8 into 3 by 2 whole square, I get the answer as 59, which is correct. So which option is correct? Our assertion is true, but reason is false, right? I repeat, our assertion is true, but reason is false. So which option will you mark here? Option C is correct for this, right? So we have to simply go with the concept. Assertion and reason are to be checked separately, and then once we get the surety of both the statements, we combine them. So here assertion is true, but reason is false. So we go with option C. Now let's come to the last question for section A. It's based on probability again. Now here it's based on binomial distribution formula. Now let's take the formula first. Is this the correct formula? Yes. C and R, P are Q raised to n minus R, where P is the probability of success and Q is the probability of failure, n is total number of trials, and R is the number of times it is obtained. Now let's see for the above one. The probability of getting 6 heads when an unbiased coin is tossed 10 times. So here n is 10, 6 heads, so R is 6. What is the probability of success? 1 by 2. What is the probability of failure? 1 by 2. So now if we keep it in the formula of this, so what we will get? C 10 6, 1 by 2 raised to 6, 1 by 2 raised to 4. And if we combine both these, we get 1 by 2 raised to 10. So our answer is correct in assertion also. So assertion and reason both are correct. And so the correct option is A. And thank you, everyone.